All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Monday, April 10th. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. And Clayton, what a Easter weekend this was. The box office has risen and he has come and he is good. And I think it is time, Clayton, that you give us a special Easter plow for the weekend of Friday, April 7th.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up. I had it.
All right. I mean, do
Here we
you
go.
want me to do the plow
No, I got
since
it. I got it.
this is highlighted by one of my people, by Mario? Do you feel you're up to representing?
I think I can handle it. I
Uh,
think I should handle it.
okay, so if you could give us a plow for the Easter weekend, the Mario weekend of Friday, April 7th.
Number one, the Super Mario Brothers movie made $146.3 million in its 3-day opening. It, in its 5-day, made $204.6 million. Number two, John Wick Chapter 4 made $14.6 million, down 48%. It lost 248 theaters. It is now at $147 million in its third weekend. Number three, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves made $14.5 million in its 3-day weekend, down 61% at a theater. It's now standing at $62.2 million after 2 weekends. Number four, Air made $14.4 million in its 3-day and then 20.2 in its 5-day for a total gross of the same 20.2 in its first weekend. And number five, Scream 6 made $3.3 million, down 38%. It's hemorrhaging theaters, though, minus 730, but it is at $103.8 million in its fifth weekend. That is your top five.
All right, Clayton, do we I think we just get right into the big story this weekend because I can't wait a second longer to talk about this
His
little
only
mustachioed
son,
plumber. He is
his
the sun who has risen, and he made us proud this
oh,
weekend.
I
As an
thought you were talking.
Italian American, I have to say it. Mario did right by us. He made us proud. We got to talk these Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, I thought we were going to talk number six, his only son, which continued to make Bafa Bobo $3.2 million. It's at $11 million. His only son. I mean,
I mean,
come
good.
on. Angel Studios is killing it. I think that's that on Easter weekend. I think
Listen,
that's the headline.
I think even God Himself would right now say the only son that you could talk about is the son of a plumber is Mario and Luigi. We're talking, it's not his only son. There's two sons we got to talk about.
Well,
We got
that
to
was what
talk
I was
about
going to
both these
say.
brothers.
You're
Yeah,
you're giving Mario a lot of shine here. Luigi is part of this. It's not just the Mario movie; it's the Super Mario Brothers movie.
sure. But it is a pair of brothers that take the name of the first name of one of the brothers. That is that shows you who's boss. That is not their last name. The one brother is so definitively the alpha that Luigi also goes by his other brother's first name. He
Yeah,
knows. He
that
knows who the draw is.
that is a crazy dynamic when you think about it.
But when you see them together, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, Luigi doesn't care what you call them because right now they're the top of the box office. So Luigi's happy. He ain't
Yes,
complaining.
third biggest opening for an Easter 3-day ever, behind
Wow.
Furious 7, which only
Hmm.
beat it by 1,000,000, and
Okay.
then Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which opened to 166, which its total gross was 330 domestic.
Hmm.
I mean, at this point, Mario Brothers is gonna blow past that.
Listen, we gotta give him, capital H him, credit because Scott Mendelson, the him I'm
Yeah.
talking about, he called this, I think, last year. I think it was
Mhm.
the end of last year. We were talking Avatar 2, The Way of Water with Scott Mendelson and looking ahead a little bit to this year. As Scott Mendelson said, Super Mario Brothers could be the biggest movie of the year. He called this a billion-dollar baby months and months ago,
Mhm.
and he is going to be right. This movie is a monster. This may be the biggest movie of the year. We may be seeing right now the Avatar, the three Spider-Mens of this year, and it is not a Marvel character. It is the Super Mario Brothers. I mean, this is gigantic, biggest Illumination movie ever. $204 million 5 day. I gotta give myself a little pat on the back here, while also admitting that I undershot this. I predicted on our weekend preview episode that this would do 132 for the 3 day and
Mhm.
170 for the 5 day, and it did 146 and 204.
Yeah.
I had the highest of our predictions and still undershot this 5 day by $30 million. This 5 day was bananas. Bananas.
Yeah, I think this is a game changer in a lot of ways, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this definitely is the last movie that I'm gonna be sort of modest about because people are and we've been saying this since God, how long ago, months and months,
Months and months.
that people are back going to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's healthy, it's strong, it just needed product, and
Yep.
this was the product that they wanted. It was the
Yep.
perfect storm. It was Easter weekend. It was kids on spring break. It was
Mm-hmm.
people wanting to go to the theater,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what made this movie as big as it was, and a unprecedented amount of just IP knowledge, like knowing that Mario is a thing and exists and is now in the theater.
Yes. I mean, we've talked about it. This is an IP where the fandom extends from 5 to probably 75. I
Mhm.
mean, the demo that I forgot that you have to even toss in here is the parents of kids from the 80s who watched their kids play Mario incessantly for years and years. They're at least aware of Mario. And I don't think
Mhm.
that means that your current 80-year-old was rushing out to see the Super Mario Brothers movie on their own volition, but they were willing to be dragged to it by grandchildren,
Yeah.
because they were at least aware of this thing.
Mhm.
So the awareness of Mario, honestly, it extends to every human being that is alive. I think we are close to Mario having complete human awareness.
Mhm.
There
Like,
there is
who would you say rivals him at this point? I mean, you've got Logan Paul, of course, but other
right.
than that, is there anybody that blankets society in the world the way Mario does right now?
I mean, let's just say it, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, yeah, Jesus Christ is known.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, I would say, has full brand awareness through all age groups, through all
Mhm.
demos. Jesus Christ is an IP that from 5 to 85, you are, if whether you're a fan or not, you are aware of the IP. But I
Mhm.
think Mario, and he showed it this Easter weekend because this year, Easter 2023, it was Mario's weekend. And
Mhm.
Mario showed that much like Jesus Christ, he has full brand awareness.
Well, there's also, in a more modest way, another Christ-like figure who did very well this weekend. We'll get to that.
Yes. Another icon that has full penetration.
Yeah.
And in the way Jesus has full market penetration and the way that Mario clearly has full market penetration. Yeah, this weekend, this Easter weekend was the weekend of iconic figures.
Now, can we just do demos really fast here?
Oh, dude, the demo god is about to speak.
So, moviegoers were guys at 60%. So, this skewed heavily male.
Mhm, mhm,
62% between 18 and 34,
mhm.
with the largest quad being 18 to 24 at 33%. Okay, so here's the thing. This isn't just kids. I mean, this
Right,
is the prime demo,
right.
right? 18 to 34 is the prime demo.
Yep.
Now, diversity demos, Latino and Hispanic audiences at 41%,
Wow.
Caucasian at 30, Black at 15, and Asian at 14.
Wow.
That to me is shocking.
That is shocking to me. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to, depending on how uh we're counting the demos. I would assume Italians are counted within Caucasian. I would love to have seen
Mm,
the further breakdown of that Caucasian 30% because I think probably 80% of that 30% was Italians,
well, okay.
right?
You
I
would
would
know
I would
better than me. You would know better than me.
I would think so. I mean, I
Okay.
listen, I saw this film and we're not critics, huh?
Huh.
But I saw this film, great film, and a great portrayal of the Italian American experience by Mario, by Luigi. Chris Pratt, whatever people want to say about him, whatever corners he's not beloved, he did the work. He went out and he went to the pizzerias and he cupped his ear and he listened to the people speak and he got it. Chris Pratt did a great job. Charlie Day did a great job as Luigi. Sebastian Maniscalco, of course, brought the authenticity. I think he played the dad. I'm not totally sure, but that would have made sense. They did a great job representing Italian Americans in the Super Mario Brothers. And I mean, just based on box office, Mario now is the biggest Italian American box office character of all time. It is
Yeah.
not, you know, Vito Corleone of The Godfather, and that movie was a box office sensation in its day.
Mhm.
But The Godfather is no Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers is the king of Italian cinema.
Now, you mentioned Chris Pratt,
I did.
and he's a guy who's been vilified online.
Uh huh.
Now, does this vindicate him in a way where I I don't think his voicing this character would have been detrimental to its success unless the movie was terrible, and then people would just pile on him,
Mm hmm.
but people seem to enjoy the movie. People, not critics, huh?
Huh.
But it doesn't
Huh.
matter what the critics say,
A plus cinema score, right?
right?
Yep.
So, this is a guy who continues to have success in franchises.
Mm hmm.
He struggles in original IP and things like that, but most stars do.
Right.
So, can we say Chris Pratt is still A-list,
Yes.
still a movie star,
Yes.
and listen, this is a franchise now. The
Mm
guy's
hmm.
gonna have a franchise a la Shrek,
Mm
a
hmm.
la this could be I mean, Nintendo could be the MCU. We don't know where it goes from here,
Oh, I think
but
we're getting an NCU. That is the next 10 years of box office will be NCU centric.
he will have continued success. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of people out there that aren't going to be happy about it, but it's just the facts. This guy is
Yes.
not going anywhere and he brings it.
Yes. Yes. Listen, I saw this film with our good friend of the show, future guest, past guest, Aaron Rose Foley Chan.
Mhm.
And we saw this film together and we were talking Chris Pratt afterwards. And listen, we both came to the consensus Chris Pratt is never going to play a lawyer. He is not going to do his the judge. the way Robert Downey Jr. did. He's never
Mhm.
going to water the effing hydrangeas.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt is going to play super soldiers, and he's going to play dinosaur hunters, and he's going to play iconic IP. He's not doing a mid 90s law thriller.
Mhm.
And he can't do that. He's possibly not a good actor in any way, but it doesn't matter because he knows how to be a movie star in big IP driven star vehicles in a way
Mhm.
that I think exceeds any other Chris. I think part of what he did this weekend is he fully put his boot on the throats of the other Chris's and reaffirmed his dominance as the box office Chris. I
Mhm.
can't see where there is any doubt anymore. And
No.
we love Chris Pine, and Chris Pine has had a great couple of weeks with this Dungeons and Dragons movie. Everyone likes it; it's doing well, but he looks up and he sees Chris Pratt's gigantic Mario boot just coming down on him. That is the thing.
Yeah, and let's just briefly, because we still wanna talk Mario, but this Dungeons& and Dragons movie dropping 61% over the weekend, it makes sense because when you look at the demos for Mario, 18 to 34, that is the bread and butter for this D&D movie. That was
Yeah.
that what it was aimed for, and listen, it was a hard slot. They were in a hard slot because they were coming out right between John Wick 4 and Mario,
Hmm.
but you had to put this movie out sometime, Dungeons& and
Yes.
Dragons,
Yes.
right? And I think that it's doing okay. I think it's gonna bounce back next weekend in
I
a way.
agree. I think
It'll
it'll still stabilize.
but, I'm still feeling that, when Anthony D'Alessandro, D is for do go to the movies,
Yep.
when he mentioned Power Rangers as a comp for Dungeons& and Dragons, I'm still scared that this movie is not gonna start a franchise. I think, it may be a one and done, unfortunately. We'll see, we'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll see.
But
I
the
think it has a good chance to stabilize. I mean, we'll talk about this on our weekend preview episode in a few days. I think the movie that could really get steamrolled here is going to be Renfield. So we'll talk about that in the weekend preview. I
Mm,
think Dungeons and Dragons, you look at the month of April, if Renfield doesn't eat up the box office, which I don't think it will, but we'll talk about
yeah.
that in the weekend preview. I think Dungeons and Dragons has a really good chance to stabilize. Super Mario Brothers was always going to just come in here and take up all the oxygen, especially when it comes to the kid space. And like we saw, it's not just about the kid space with Mario. Adults were seeing it. That Anthony D'Alessandro mentions in his write up that this movie played pretty equally across all the day periods. This
Yeah,
was
that's
not just a
big.
movie that did all its business, before 5 p.m. because it was a kid's flick. It did a quarter of its business after 7 o'clock. I went to a Saturday night at 9 p.m. screening that was pretty full and had just one 6 year old. And beyond that, it was all adults.
Mhm.
The Super Mario Brothers movie just took up all of the pun fully intended, because everything I do on the show is intended, took up all of the air this weekend.
Now, was that six-year-old with a parent or guardian?
That 6 year old was with an adult who I assume was a legal guardian,
Okay,
or at
okay,
least given movie taking privileges by whoever the legal guardian was.
okay, okay.
So that's what I assume. I did not investigate further. I was focused on the trailers. And just a little trailer report. These were the trailers ahead of Mario. It was the Barbie movie, which looks
Mhm.
fantastic, a new
Ooh.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie,
Is
produced
that
by Seth
animated?
Rogen, animated film produced by Seth
Okay.
Rogen. So the Michael Bay era is over, though the second Michael Bay movie was great,
Yes.
and a new Transformers movie. So it is fully confirmed that movie studios are run by people who were 5 year olds in the 1980s. That is full confirmation.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not gonna get into it with the Barbie movie trailer, but, yeah, I don't agree. How was the reaction to it?
Laughs.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
good for them.
yeah. And we now have a new thing that Clayton is against. So moving
I'm
on.
not against, I just that trailer,
Moving on. Here's what I want to
oh
talk about,
boy.
Clayton. I want to
Yeah,
talk about the promotional partners for this Super Mario Brothers movie. Can we
oh,
talk campaign? Because
sure,
this was a
sure.
fantastic campaign, and I love when movie studios partner with other brands to amplify the message. That is a thing in life that I find very endearing, and I love how it helps the box office and it helps the promotional partners.
Mhm.
So the trailer dropped uh, in March 10th, a year ago. Well, wait, the third trailer dropped this past March. The cast promoted the show on the Kelly Clarkson show. That was great. I haven't seen that, but I imagine that was fantastic. And then the cast sang the Mario theme song as part of the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. That I did see. I saw that as a viral clip, and it was the cast of the movie singing the they sang the song, and that was huge.
But that song
Uh,
doesn't have lyrics, right?
it doesn't, but I think if you sing the instrumentals, it still counts as singing.
Okay.
I think that falls under the category of singing. So that was huge. So there were in-game displays for the movie on kid games such as Roblox, Minecraft, and of course, Clayton, say it with me, Fortnite.
Oh,
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Mario Brothers was within Fortnite. So now the Mario Brothers did not have an automobile partner, and usually you got to have an automobile partner to become a global phenomenon. That's key. And Mario Brothers, they went out there without an automobile partner and they still pulled it off. Why? Because they had a partnership with Shake Shack. The Super
Mhm.
Mario Brothers, they took over a Shake Shack location in New York City's Dumbo. Clayton, did you by any chance visit the Super Mario Brothers themed Shake Shack on any of your long walks into Dumbo?
No, it's shocking that I didn't notice it because I've
Mhm.
been there several times, not to the actual restaurant, but past it. They may not have done a good job of putting anything on the outside. It might have all been internal, all internal, as they
I
say.
I mean, you also may have been lost in thought. You may have been particularly internal when you passed it because, I mean, there were, according to this write up, there was film branding inside and outside of the Shake Shack. All right. There were specialty food items, giveaways, and photo opportunities with a question mark block. The Super Mario Brothers plumbing van was there. There was a Mario Kart, which I imagine the van and the Mario Kart were outside. So I think this is on you. You may have been in deep, deep thought, but you did in fact pass a Mario Kart.
Wow, that's shocking. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
shocking that I did not notice a Mario Kart, a full Mario Kart outside.
Did you happen to, and I do think this is possible, that you were so deep in thought that you walked by the press event held on March 30th, hosted by Chance the Rapper outside of the Shake Shack, in which they introduced their Shroom Burger. Of course, Super Mario Brothers heavily features the mushroom. So their promotional partner, Shake Shack, introduced the Shroom Burger. Did you possibly walk right by a press conference hosted by Chance the Rapper outside of the Shake Shack?
That's I mean, I probably would have avoided that.
Okay. Okay.
So I might not have clocked it as a press event. I might have just seen it as a mass of people and just gone the other way.
Right. You may have seen it as a rap concert that you had no interest in, not realizing it was part of the Super Mario Brothers the movie promotional campaign.
Mhm.
Um, in Mexico, Mario partnered with 7-Eleven, taking over again inside and outside of stores in Monterrey and Mexico City. And the larger 7-Eleven program included in-store signage across 1,800 7-Eleven stores. So that helped them, I think, of course, in Mexico, and maybe that the word of that 7-Eleven Mexico takeover maybe does make its way to the States and help with what we saw, which was a huge overperformance in the Hispanic and Latino demo. The
Yes.
7-Eleven takeover in Mexico, maybe the word got out, helped goose the numbers even here in the States. That is always the hope, is that these brand partnerships will travel worldwide. Uh, we also, Super Mario Brothers had a cosmetic line partnership with Lush Cosmetics, including Princess Peach body spray and Mario and Luigi shower gels, and a mystery question block bath bomb. So you don't even know what that smell will be, but
Mhm.
people gobbled it up. So the Lush Cosmetics partnership was huge. Hot Sauce Truff got into the action with a Super Mario Brothers sauce collection. And Mario got the hottest of the sauces, which I think makes a lot of sense. And Universal was featuring the commercial through all of their empire, including a co-branded Xfinity 10G campaign. I love to see that. I love when 10G gets involved in the promotions. And of course, Universal theme parks across the globe. Attendees were treated to a Mario Kart photo op, spot on the studio tour tram, retail merchandise. There's a Today Show segment, Peacock ad takeover of every Illumination film on the platform, custom Mario Day 15 spots across all NBCU cable networks. Clayton, that is your promotional partnership report. The short of it is that Mario was everywhere, and Mario was with every brand these last couple of weeks. Incredible promotional takeover.
Well, it worked because it's by far the biggest opening for a video game movie ever.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it destroyed our beloved Sonic,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, but that I think competition is good. And so
Oh, yeah.
Sonic's just gonna up his game now.
Exactly. Sonic 3 will be bigger than ever because Mario elevated the entire video game movie genre. And I think Mario did some major damage to the superhero movie genre because Mario really showed it's all about the video games now, baby. It is not about the Caped Crusaders.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, this is sort of like the Batman of video game movies, right? Because Batman
Mm,
was one of those characters that was known all over the place, was a iconic character that had never had an iteration that really kind of had its actual essence. I mean, you had the Batman TV show in the 60s, which was a kitschy hit,
hmm
and you had serials and all those different things. But when the 1989 Batman movie came out,
hmm
people went gaga for it.
hmm
And
hmm
so I do think that Mario is that sort of iconic figure in video gaming and really is going to kick off a new era of video game movies that are more just about the actual games. Like they're more for the fans in a way
hmm
that other video game movies have tried to be adaptations of concepts
Right.
to get moviegoers to like them, regular moviegoers. Now it's like there's enough gamers out there that you just make it for gamers. I mean, this
Right.
is a movie for gamers, and that's fine. You couldn't
Right.
do that in 1993 when the original Mario movie came out. If you said, no, no, it doesn't matter if regular people go see this movie, this is for the gamers, FTG,
Right.
the execs would have been like, what are you talking about, gamer? What does that even mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
Now it's like, if I
Why are you
say,
saying to me, what if Venom was a gamer? Why are you telling me that in 1993? It would have made no sense.
but if I went onto the street and I talked and I accosted an old lady and I was like, name a gamer in your life, she probably would say, well, my grandson, my
Mhm.
son, my
Mhm.
husband, my
Yep.
father was a gamer,
Yep. You know what that
right?
old lady would say? She would say, "I'm a gamer.
I'm a
I'm
gamer,
naming me because 'cause I'm a
me.
gamer."
I'm a
Yeah.
gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. would be powerful words from that old lady on the street. So listen, the Super Mario Brothers movie, gigantic hit, incredible representation of my people, Italian Americans, of Brooklyn. I think it did Brooklyn proud, and it's going to. It is the greatest sign we've ever had that the video game movies are what's going to take over the box office for the next decade plus. So this is a historic, historic Easter weekend, maybe one of the most important Easter weekends since the original Easter. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that this is a positive sign for IPs that can be made into films
Mm,
successfully.
yeah,
This is a road forward for video games in a way that I think Sonic is still a vestige of the old way of doing things where it's like, we got to put them in the real world and we got to do this and we got to do that. And it's like Mario proved that it's like, no, just make it the freaking game.
yeah.
Like,
Although, listen, there's nothing we could say that Sonic did wrong when you look at the box office numbers for those two
no, no.
movies.
But what I'm
Because
saying, you agree
they
with me
fixed the
that
teeth. They fixed the teeth. I think in 1993, here's a difference. The Sonic movie goes with the original gnarly looking Sonic that we saw in those those year out trailers. And instead, in modern day, they fixed the teeth. They made them look like the game, and they got the positive box office results. So I
I
think,
would say that was a step in the right direction. I mean, it was it was what was I gonna say? I mean, it's primordial. It's one of those things where the Sonic movie paved the way for Mario, right?
yeah,
By
Sonic
doing things
ran
like
so
that.
that Mario could jump.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's stay on this topic of IP and presenting IP at the box office. And the IP that also did very well in its opening weekend on a different level, of course, was the Air Jordan sneakers in Ben Affleck's directorial effort Air, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Chris Messina. This movie did as I predicted on this show. I mean, I pretty much nailed it. I said this movie could do 2021 House of Gucci numbers in
Mhm.
that it would do around a $14 million 3 day. And I think I said $22 million 5 day, which is what House of Gucci did. This movie did, Air did 14.4 million for the 3 day, $20 million for the 5 day. Listen, I think this is a best case scenario, and forget budgets, huh? None of that matters on this movie.
Yeah.
This movie was originally slated to go streaming only, and then Amazon made the great decision. Thank you, Amazon, for putting this out in a wide, heavily promoted theatrical release. And it did a $20 million 5 day opening weekend for a movie where it's just actors talking to each other. So it's a success. I think the project of opening this movie was a success.
So, do you wanna hear what I have to say here about
Sure.
Amazon?
Let you know what? I'm gonna mute my mic right now, so I don't even have a
No, no,
chance
no, no,
to
you
respond
are
as you
not
talk.
gonna wanna mute your mic, Pat. You're not gonna
Okay.
wanna mute your mic,
Let's
okay?
hear this. Let's hear it.
Good on you, Amazon, for putting this movie in the theater, right? Because this was not a given. This was not a threequel of a huge franchise, okay? This was, like you said, an adult skewing film that is people talking, okay? That is a bold move. And I know, listen, you had Ben Affleck in it, you had Matt Damon. They are stars, but they're not stars the way Iron Man's a star. They're not stars the way that Mario is a star, right? So you had to have a little faith in this movie and these people to put this movie in theaters. And guess what? It paid off. And good on you, Amazon, for doing that, for being bold enough to put this movie into theaters. And the great thing about this film is that it was counter programming, which hasn't worked in a long time, but is now working because so many people are going to the theater.
Wow. Wow. Clayton, I applaud you because you know what you did just now? You used the carrot and not the stick. And I
Yeah.
think that is fantastic. I, of course, agree with you. Great job, Amazon, putting this in theaters and giving it a real promotional campaign. This was not
Yes.
Netflix dumping one of their movies into 300 theaters and never airing a single TV commercial for. I mean, Air was promoted like a real movie, and that is the reason why it got to 20 million. You couldn't just casually put this in movie theaters and not tell anyone about it because it would have opened to $2 million. It would have cried macho if it
Yeah.
didn't have a real marketing campaign, and Amazon did that.
And that's the
Um,
difference between Amazon right now, at least in this specific case, we'll see going forward. They should learn
mhm,
from this that
mhm.
that is what makes a movie successful, also being good. But Warner Brothers just putting farting Magic Mike into theaters
Yep.
and a House Party and not promoting it. I mean, Evil Dead Rise or Evil Dead Rising, right? That's going to be that's going to be the test.
Mhm.
They need to shove that movie down people's throats, and if they don't do it, then they're a worse studio than Amazon.
Right
The
now.
Warner Brothers, a classic, that shield that says
Mhm.
quality
Mhm.
is getting beat out by a fucking smiley face that sends you toilet paper in the mail, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And so
That
that's the thing is that that's gonna be the test, and Amazon passed this test this time because they knew they had something and they sent it out to everybody.
Yep. I saw this film as well this weekend. This was a
Mhm.
huge weekend for me. I saw this on Friday night with my wife. So I saw 2 different movies with 2 different errands this weekend. So that's
Nice.
what I was up to.
Gotta spread it
And
around.
and I saw Air with my wife, Erin, on Friday night in a packed Nighthawk in Brooklyn, and the crowd ate Air up.
Mhm.
Everything worked. This is a crowd pleaser. And we're not critics, huh? But in
Huh?
terms of how this will help the box office, the fact that this movie is good and the fact that this movie is fun, which is what hits have to be these days. You know, this
Yes.
was not the gloomy version of Air. This was not wallowing in the tragic elements of Michael Jordan's life. This was a fun
Mhm.
movie about guys trying to sell a sneaker, and they were had a ton of personality. Ben Affleck was hilarious in this movie. Matt Damon did the everyman thing that every man and every woman loves, and the crowd loved this movie. I think Air is going to have a really good chance to build off of this $20 million opening weekend. Is this going to be $100 million movie? No, of course not, huh?
Of course not,
But
huh?
I will predict right now House of Gucci made $53.7 million in its total domestic run back in 2021.
Mhm.
And that was at a time when it had different things going for it and against it. You know, for it, it was a time when way less movies were out there, so it had less competition. Against it, it was still at a point when COVID was causing people to stay home from the movie theater. But I think Air will do more than the $53 million that House of Gucci did. That's my prediction. I think Air is such a good, enjoyable, fun film with movie star performances. It could get to $60 million. That's where I'm at on this film. I think this is a great start for Air.
Nice, and here's some demos here, 57% guys, 49 of percent of those between 18 and 34.
Mm-hmm.
The largest demo was 25 to 34 at 27%. So
Yep.
still young, but not the youngest.
Yep. Yep.
Diversity demos, 49% Caucasian, 23% Latino Hispanic, 14% Black, and 14% Asian. So Latino and Hispanic community came out this weekend
Huge weekend for them.
and they were having a ball at the theater,
Yep.
which you love to see. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think I also this is the movie of all the movies that I have not seen a movie in a while because I have had a DCEU flu,
Mhm.
which was
Mhm.
documented on
Yep.
this podcast, and it kind
Yep.
of lingered longer than it should have.
Mhm.
So I really wasn't going to the theater, but I'm making an appointment to gulp some air.
Wow.
And I think that's really gonna make me feel better. That's the thing that's gonna make me feel like the Clayton I used to be.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think this is the perfect prescription for people suffering with the DCU flu because Air is an original film. The sneaker itself is IP, but the film isn't based on anything. It's an original film. It's just people talking. It's, movie stars like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Jason Bateman and Chris Messina just going at it, having a good time. And listen, and cannot forget Viola Davis, I think, added so much to this movie. And you got to give it to Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. And before he would okay this movie being made, he told Ben Affleck he wanted Viola Davis to play his mother.
Mhm.
And that is it. This is a man who's the greatest basketball player ever, and he's got box office prowess as well. Because Viola Davis, coming off of the Woman King, definitely added a lot to Air, both on screen and at the box office. So great job out of Michael Jordan with the casting of this film.
Yeah, and listen, this could be an awards play.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is a
Definitely.
movie that gets Oscar noms, and listen, I don't know what else is gonna be out, and it's a little early for this, but if this movie it's already made $20 million, which is more than most Best Picture winners in the last few years. I mean, other than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
This movie makes $60 million. I mean, you could have a hit movie that wins Best Picture 2 years running, right?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
a rarity.
Yes.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's also conjecture, prognosticating, not gonna happen probably, but, I mean, to have a movie that probably has a little bit of awards bona fide actually having people going to see it in the theater, that's a world I wanna live in.
Yes. Yes. No, this was a great weekend at the box office. Again, I think this is one of the most important Easter weekends we have had since the original Easter, between this
Mhm,
Mario opening and Air overperforming in the 5-day. Uh, Great historic Easter. I think this is what Easter should always be about, which is
mhm.
overperformance at the domestic box office.
And you know what? Why not make Easter the Nintendo weekend? Why not
Mm.
stake claim to this and say, "This is the weekend we put out the Nintendo movie, whatever it's gonna be." If it's gonna be Mario Brothers 2, it's gonna be Donkey Kong Country, it's gonna be Yoshi's Dream or whatever, or Kirby's Dream. One of them dreamed, I
Right,
remember.
right.
This should be the weekend.
Okay.
Every other year, you got a Nintendo movie coming out Easter.
Yeah, I could see that. I would love for Mario to claim that weekend. I mean, I think that the Nintendo Cinematic Universe is for sure going to happen. You're going to
Mhm,
get Mario spin-offs, you're going to get The Legend of Zelda, you're going to get Metroid, so on and so forth. I think Castlevania is primed to be Bafabio. But you look at the original start of the MCU franchise. Iron Man came out in May 2008. Then that Incredible Hulk movie that everyone forgets came out a few months later. Then it wasn't until Iron Man 2, 2 years later in 2010. Then Thor 2011. So it takes a while.
yeah,
Mario was the Iron Man here. Mario was the one where if it works, they'll make more. If it bombed, then it would have been a non starter. And
mhm.
so now I'm sure they are revving up the next batch of NCU, Nintendo Cinematic Universe movies. So you'll probably get a Mario Brothers movie in 2 or 3 years, and then a Zelda movie a year after that, and then you're off to the races. So
Mhm.
this is the start, but we might not see the next batch of movies for 2, 3, 4 years from now.
That's true. You shouldn't put anything in the pipeline until you know that that pipeline is greased.
Yes. Yes. And as Mario does in his day job, he fixed the pipes this weekend. So the pipeline is ready for the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, MCU. It is time to take a step back and accept that The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, Metroid, they are the new Avengers at the box
Yeah.
office.
Now, can we really quickly before we
Really
go,
quick.
because I do have
Hmm.
a heart out,
Yes.
clap for one of the films here in this top 5.
Okay.
Scream 6 now has a domestic total of $103.8 million, officially making it the highest domestic grossing Scream film of all time,
Wow.
beating the original
Wow.
by $800,000.
Wow.
So
All
can we
right.
get it? Can we clap?
Let's clap.
Okay. Okay. I
That was
mean,
for you,
that's
Scream 6.
so impressive. A sixth film
Mm-hmm.
in a franchise
Mm-hmm.
with only one of the original stars in it is
Mm-hmm.
now the number one grossing domestically like film of the franchise. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
it's in good hands and the stars are there, so this who knows what the next one could do. It's
Yeah.
just
I
it's just nice to see this.
I mean, Scream 6 and Creed 3 showed that it can be done, that the torch can be passed from an original character to a new beloved character over the course of a franchise. Scream
Mhm.
passed the torch to Jenny Ortega, Creed passed the torch from Stallone to Michael B. Jordan. It can be done. Let that be a lesson to you, Indiana Jones. That's a franchise that could not do that. Indy 4 could not pass that torch from Harrison Ford to Shia LaBeouf. We will
Mhm.
see in Indy 5 if it can successfully pass the torch from Harrison Ford to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think
Wow.
that can be done. I will be seeing that in theaters to
No
see if
one
that
will see
torch
an
can be
Indiana
passed.
Jones movie starring Phoebe Waller-Bridge just on her own.
I think we're going to
I will
find that out.
100% say
We're
that.
we're going to find out if that torch can be passed this summer in the Dial of Destiny. It may be passing the torch of Indy to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. We will find that out. Clayton, I think we've done it.
We definitely did it.
So, of course, email us at theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. We love getting your boots on the ground reporting. What movies did you see this weekend? Give us predictions. Does anyone have predictions for Renfield? We'll be talking about Renfield on the weekend preview episode. So get us your Renfield predictions in the next day or so at the BO Boys Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod. Wannabe intern Christopher just killing it right now with the video clips. He knows the moments that matter. So follow us on the BO Boys Pod across social media and give us 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts. That helps other wannabe boys, wannabe girls, wannabe people
People.
find the podcast. So 5-star reviews are very important. And I mean, I think, oh, and of course, watch and subscribe and like on YouTube. We are YouTubers now. Pointing down there is where you could smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. It is time
Mhm.
for us to take our place next to Logan Paul as the premier YouTubers in the world.
Mhm.
So follow the BO Boys podcast on YouTube. And Clayton, that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got too, so I don't think there's anything left to say,
No.
except for until next time, we'll
Will smell
smell
you
you at
at the
the